welcome to the session. So we have Vanessa Brown, who is the Director of Business Development APAC for TikTok. We have Sri Safitri, who is the Deputy Executive VP, CX and Digitisation for Telkom Indonesia. And we have Willem Dinger, who is the Global Director of Brand Partnerships for Web 3.0 and Gaming at Unilever. Three extremely cool people with extremely cool jobs. And so thank you for if you could move around here, at least I can see you. No? Okay. And we're talking about partnerships, and it used to be that we talk about sponsorship, but what we're talking about here is partnerships. And these are people who are not necessarily just involved in the sponsorship relationship, but also business partnerships and how they succeed, and as Audrey said, sometimes how they fail, and what marriage guidance can there be. So before we start, let's hear a little bit more as to who you each are. I'll start with my left, Safitri. Who are you? What do you do? And what kind of partnerships do you manage?
Right. I'm Sri Safitri from Telkom Indonesia, from digital business of Telkom Indonesia. So what sort of a partnership that involve digital for Telkom, including like music, e-commerce, education, logistics, all sort of education that involving digital is under this directorate.
And what kind of partnerships? So you're looking after, what kind of companies do you partner with?
Usually we partner with companies like TikTok or Unilever and other OTT and also content provider. So
you're going to sell them something while we do the session?
Why not?
No, because I'm selling something to Willem. Oh, okay, maybe not. Willem, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Willem. I look after brand partnerships at Unilever, so that spans across anything sport, entertainment, influencers, gaming, and Web3.
It's the cool job. I mean, you're working running the sponsorship division of one of the biggest brands on the planet.
Yeah, very privileged to have obviously the position, and I've been working in sport and entertainment for the last 20 years, so it is my personal passion. So being able to work day to day within a business context and environment is obviously, it's very cool. So very lucky.
And you've always got the tickets.
Yes, generally speaking.
Vanessa, tell us about your role at TikTok.
So I look after strategic partnerships for TikTok across the APAC region. So I'm, same as Willem, have the lucky job of being able to build out partnerships across a number of areas for TikTok in this region, which is hugely exciting. And I think our ecosystem thrives on partnerships. So if you look at TikTok, we partner in so many different ways, whether it's the music industry or whether it's brands or whether it's telcos. We work with a lot of different partners across the region to kind of expand our growth. It's a very exciting part to be.
But no tickets.
No tickets. I'll call on Willem for that.
So staying with you, Vanessa. I mean, we're joking about marriage guidance stuff, but are the partnerships that you work on and with, is it a marriage or is it tactical?
I think it's a really good analogy, Jasper. I think you can have both, so it could be tactical or it could be more of a marriage, but I think the way you should approach partnerships is definitely like a marriage, or at least a long-term relationship, right? Because some of the best tactical partnerships can build into longer-term relationships. So I think some of the things that you would think about going into a relationship, you would apply it to a partnership as well. So, being open and building transparency and having some shared goals and some shared commonalities and, having really good communication and some of those things that you would take into a relationship, you should apply that to a partnership as well.
And not running off with one of their competitors.
Yeah, that's definitely a no-no. So there's lots of things that kind of are aligned, I think, in having successful partnerships.
So for all three of you, what are some of the favourite partnerships you've had and examples of the relationships that have worked and why? Safitri?
Right. One of the partnerships that I have is previously is working with an agency in which we create a movie, but the movie is the movie is kind of UGC. So we have like 1 million ideas for Indonesia in 2045. So we grasp about millennials' ideas, what Indonesia will look like in 2045, and then we create a movie based on that. And then because of that partnership is not just about creativity, but also something that is fun. So that is one of the example of the partnership that we work with an agency and also with our internal music and TV unit.
Willem,
Yeah, I actually really agree with
you've
Vanessa.
only got 24 minutes to answer that
when
question.
when we're looking at partnerships, we're looking at shared, missions, values, beliefs, and like you, we look for sort of long-term partnerships, where you can build equity and association over time. Generally speaking, we find that really sort of drives the saliency and the impact. So really thinking long-term, but again, short-term tactical activations, depending on kind of jobs to be done or objectives, can also work, and we do that as well. But I think, like some of what we've been doing across some of our personal care brands, so around Rexona or Sure in the UK, it's a deodorant brand, it's the #1 deodorant brand, and we've been partnering with football. We've had 5-6 years with Chelsea Football Club, with City Football Group, also with Copa Libertadores for Latin America. We've had over sort of 12 years of equity for DoubleVerify Plus Care within rugby, because we see it as an amazing platform to drive, superior kind of like narrative around kind of care and fatherhood on and off the pitch, in terms of building kind of camaraderie. We've had over 12 years of association between Clear Men and Cristiano Ronaldo, so that's been a massively fruitful and beneficial kind of partnership, not only for Cristiano but also for Clear in terms of how we're driving those sort of mutual benefits. So just a couple of examples, but we generally do look for kind of long-term association.
And interesting, you call it equity.
Yeah, equity, or for us, it's all about sort of driving your must-win attributes. Whether it's sort of for Rexona, it's about driving sort of superior protection, odor control, but making sure that we're using our partnerships to drive our core brand proposition. And we do that across all of our partnerships, so that they're always strategically aligned to priorities rather than becoming sort of sideshows or side acts.
And can you say, are you able to reveal some of the reasons why you think a relationships work?
Yeah, because I think, like when you're going into these relationships, you need to plan for them. You need to give yourself time to kind of really understand, right, what are the shared missions? What are the shared objectives? Because within any partnership, it does need to be a marriage. You're going to go through the tough times. You're going to go through the good times. And it's about being there, being able to evolve, being able to kind of adapt and be agile in the way that you're kind of thinking your approach, not being sort of afraid to try things. And really kind of looking at evolving, over time, because what you probably have in year 1 is massively different to what you have in year 5. So just being able to kind of have a partner that understands that things will change, things will evolve, and then being able to move with that and being able to kind of have the trust of that partner to be able to go, do you know what? Rip up the contract, that's fine. Let's just look at how we can continue driving value together. So I think that's kind of our recipe. Fantastic.
And Vanessa, same question. Some of your favourite partnerships. What examples have you had, and how did they work? Why did they work?
So I'll probably talk about one example Jasper, you and I have spoken about in the past, which is we built a program in Indonesia called The Greatest Gamer. And the reason why it was such a successful and a favourite project of mine was the amount of partners that we worked with. So it wasn't just one partner. So the concept of the program was we put an audition call out across all of Indonesia to amateur gamers and asked them to apply to be on our program called The Greatest Gamer, which was essentially an IP series that we developed as TikTok. And we had a huge response across the country, and then we selected 10 contestants, put them into a house for a period of 4 weeks, and created a lot of content. At the end of that series, we awarded one prize to one of the contestants, who won a pro contract on an esports team in Indonesia, and went on to do that. the concept was interesting, but I think what brought it to life was the partnerships. So we could have done that program as TikTok, but we would never have been as successful without building a network of partners. So we had a telco partner. So we worked very closely with Telkom in Indonesia, who increased the reach and the scale of that partnership across the whole country. We worked with an advertiser partner who had great success integrating with the partnership. We had a game partner, so MLBB was the game, and we worked very closely with MLBB. And then, of course, we had the esports partner, which was Team EVOS. So the combination of that partnership gave us, the 1 + 1 = 3 kind of analogy. We had so much more success working as partners. And I think, we all went into it, to Willem's point, we all went into it as very committed, leaned-in partners with a very shared vision. And that's what made it successful, because we all got a lot out of it, but we had a very shared vision. So, we had 1 billion views, we had 600,000 views on the live stream for the finale, we had 140,000 fans in 6 weeks, we had 5,500 entries to be on the show. But it definitely was the sum of the partners and the way that we all worked together to deliver that made it successful. So I think some of those key values we talked about earlier on is what really, it was really important in building out these partnerships, and having the right partners with the right motivations, incentives, and kind of culture is very important as well.
Shared views, right? Shared vision. When does it go wrong, and how do you avoid it, Safitri?
Well, a partnership went wrong if, for example, one party is not feeling that they win it, or the shared values is not being met. So that is very challenging, because some people misunderstood the term of partnership, because a lot of people are coming, hey, we have these products. Shall we partner with you? I mean, they're actually selling it, not partnering. When you partner, then meaning you bring values that win-win to both parties. It's not just you are selling the products, but that some people misunderstood selling with partnership. So this is something that is went wrong. And the second areas that made go wrong is when one of the parties is insincere when the start of the partnership itself, so that is not going well along the way, and then it's not going to achieve the common goals that is being agreed at the first time.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be a win-win. I think that's a great point, because, if one party feels that the other one is benefiting more, then it always leaves a bit of a sort of a bitter taste. I think the other thing as well is making sure that, from kind of a client or business perspective, that we're getting all the right sign-offs at all of the different levels, because people come and go, people transition, and you need to be able to kind of have that overall endorsement, from all the different areas in the business that it needs to work, everything from shopper marketing to customer development to marketing, to your social team, to sustainability teams, whatever it is, everyone needs to know and be bought in and committed. So getting all of those approvals early and being able to kind of, outline your business plan, having really sharp objectives, and making sure that you're benchmarking against those objectives on a half-yearly basis or an annual basis is absolutely super critical. And I think the other thing is just communication. Communicating weekly with partners in terms of what's happening, who's involved, different stakeholders, planning. I think, you need to keep open lines of communication, because it is like a marriage. It is like having a relationship. You just need to communicate to make it work. I mean, it's just fundamentals, it's basics, but sometimes, people can forget, and, that kind of leads to kind of assumptions, and therefore, it can fall down at certain times. But yeah, those are kind of my points.
Is that metaphorically when the brand goes and sleeps on the sofa?
Yeah, or the rights holder. If suddenly the rights holder isn't performing, or there's things happening, even with agencies that are helping you support, it's like we all need to come to the table and making sure that we're sort of proactively driving the relationship. And as I said, there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times, and you need to be able to communicate and plan for all different scenarios in order to get the best of it.
Vanessa?
I thoroughly agree with all those points. I think I'd add to the communication is hugely important, and being very transparent and open with partners. And I think too, building a rapport, like taking the time to build a rapport and a relationship with the partners and the people who are working on the projects, because things will go wrong. things will happen. You know, it's not a perfect world. We will have, you know, things will happen, and you need to be able to have that rapport, that openness, and that trust to deal with those things when they go wrong, because that will happen, and that's the way to get past it. So I think that's another thing that's really important.
Are any of you actually, I mean, completely taking this analogy as far as we possibly can, and there's some great people in the room here as well, are any of you actually looking for love? What are you looking for? Are you looking for partners at the moment?
Well, looking for love, I think not really, because Mariah Carey said love takes time. But actually, looking for a partner, getting to know the partner takes a long time. I mean, like, it's not easy to fall in love with a partner because it will take time along the way. Then you realize that whether this is the right partner or not the right partner. And that will be proven after, as mentioned by Vanessa, that also because open communication and also the shared goal and everything, then we will build an agreement whether it's going to be a long-term partnership or not. So it takes time, not just simply easily fall in love like that, but then it needs to be proven along the way.
But what kind of partners would you be looking for if you were?
Tough question.
But your role at Telkom, you work with a lot of partners. Are you looking to work with people who are similar community size? Are you looking for people who are... What are the kind of people that you're looking to work with?
Well, not always that we have to partner with the same community, with the same scale or the same business, but we are looking for a partner that bring more value, that also fulfill the gaps, that's something that we don't have, for example, because we have the largest network and infrastructure, but we don't have like content, we don't have creativity, we don't have other things. So that is a partner, if the partner can fulfill the gaps, that's something that we don't have. It not necessarily that to be have the same scale as Telkom, but also like startups also come and partner with us, and then we can build the market together with what they have. Because Telkom Indonesia, we have three kind of strategy of partnership. We call it partnership when we decide whether we are going to partner on that. First, if we call it build, if, for example, for this certain capability, we think that we have the capability on our own, then we build it. But then buy, if we think that we don't have the capability, but we need the capability immediately, then we buy it. And rest is borrow. So if we don't have the capability and we have limited resources, and then we decided we borrow. Borrow means we partner. So these three kinds of strategy that we decided, if some partners come to us, whether this is part of something that we need to build, buy, or borrow. If we decide that it is going to be borrow, then we decided to partner with that kind of partners.
Brilliant. And Vanessa, TikTok, what kind of partners would you be looking for?
I think we look for a range of partners, right? And to answer your question, Jasper, there's always room for more love in your life, right? So I think there's always room for that. We work with a wide range of partners, so a lot of the telcos across the region. So we're always looking for more telco partnerships to kind of make a better experience for our users in every region that we're in, so they can watch their videos more, with less latency and in an improved way. So always telco partners. We look for product partners as we kind of build out product relationships. We look for a wide range of partners. I think more for us is what kind of partners are as leaned in, have the shared values, what can we do together where there's a win-win for both parties. So always on the lookout for new partners. Feel free to come and grab me after the session if anyone wants to talk about being partners with us. Across the board.
I think an event company. Willem, obviously a lot of people must be coming to you all the time with ideas and what have you, but what kind of partnerships are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's about kind of, I'm always looking for opportunities that kind of disrupt the norm. I'm looking for something original. And I think, especially around some sponsorships, partnerships, they become far too standardized. And I think what I'm looking for is something completely new, original, disruptive, something that people are going to actually stand back and go, wow, that's pretty cool. So I think for me, creativity is absolutely key, particularly from rights holders and agencies, that they're coming with something original, because there's so much noise out there. There's so many brands doing so many different activities. So in order to sort of drive that talkability, that's the kind of level of creativity that we're looking for when, talking to different opportunities or agencies pitch or, media partners pitch or, rights holders.
I'm going to ask you a cheeky question. So your people must be pitching you all the time. Your inbox must be full of people trying to sell you stuff, because I've tried. I remember at Sports Matters years ago, there was a chap called Giles Morgan. He was the global head of sponsorship at HSBC. Lovely chap, really smart. And he would talk about how people would come and pitch him with ideas, having never even thought about what he did for a living or the brand or the brief and stuff like that. And he actually gave a really good masterclass on how to pitch. And he was saying that you'd get these pitches all the time where people had clearly just taken a logo out and put another one in. But he was getting pitched for things. He said in China they had 400 clients, but the number of times that he'd been pitched with basketball tournaments. And he once got pitched with, it was ballroom dancing in Brazil and stuff. So could you... when have you been pitched by something that has genuinely not got anything to do with what you want?
All the time, but I think what I like is when people have really had to think about the brand, the identity, the values of the brand, where we operate, how we've been kind of showing up, and then really kind of thinking about, I've come up with an opportunity, a partnership opportunity. I understand your kind of business and brand landscape. I understand the context. This is how your brand shows up here, but do you know what? I've actually got a really strong idea for you, and this is the type of partner I think could work really well in terms of taking it to the next level. So when people have taken the time, rather than just saying, here's a big basketball platform, it's got big scale and reach, so what? That's not always what I'm looking for. So somewhere where the idea and creativity sits at the heart of that, I think, is absolutely critical for me.
So it's good to have your partners listen. I mean, it goes back to the whole point. I remember he said he would love it if someone came in and said to him, what are you up to? And he'd then give them the brief, and they'd say, well, actually, you know what? I don't have anything for you. He said that person went to the top of his Christmas card list, and the next time they came and spoke to him, he was absolutely all over them. Yeah. Giles, sorry, Willem, not Giles Morgan. Willem, staying with you, we've got a lot of Web3 going on in this world, and you've added Web3 to your title in the last, I think, 12 months?
12 months, yeah.
How is Web3 coming into your life?
Into my life, well, it's obviously part of my work. So, within Unilever, we're taking gaming and Web3 extremely seriously. We've created our own sort of Web3 steerco. We've got our own gaming practice, which you're very familiar with, which is called Uplay. And these two kind of practices are really designed to help our brands understand how to enter this space, how to do it in the right way to make sure strategically there is a right brand and product role in terms of the future long-term roadmap, in terms of how we see our entry into gaming, which is obviously the easiest entry point and the most scalable one, versus Web3, which can be, a little bit harder, but it still drives a lot of culture. And we call it like the epicenter, both gaming and Web3, of community, culture, and commerce, in terms of where we can really build our brands, cut through the clutter, and really sort of drive it for both business and brand need. And we always feel within Unilever that, within Web3 particularly, we need to build a metaverse for the good, making sure that we are building and developing, making sure it's consumer-centric and making sure that we're driving value, but also serving all of our customers and consumers in an authentic and meaningful way. So we've done lots of different activities with Close Up and City Hall of Love, what we've done within Decentraland for Degree, which is creating its first virtual metathon, which is accessible and inclusive for everyone of disabilities and abilities, because we want to try and build for everyone to be able to access this. So it's an exciting space. It's still very new. We're continuing to experiment. I'm not saying that we've got it all nailed down, but I think we're going to be making sure that it's part of the overall kind of strategic direction that our brands can tap into if it's the right thing for them to do, but making sure that it's part of their strategic priorities rather than something just tactical PR-led. So we're working with a number of agencies just to make sure that, you know, for our different brands, that it is building for the future, it's building a metaverse for the good so that we're doing good, but also making sure that we're showing up in a meaningful way, an authentic way that drives value for everyone that is connected to virtual and physical spaces.
It was interesting that Suresh from the Web3 Marketing Association, who also happens to be the global marketing director of Standard Chartered now, but he called it a concept, not a construct. So it's early days, right? It's kind of, and everyone's finding that. But we saw the interest yesterday in the Web3 programming, but mostly from Web 2 people. It wasn't Web 3 talking to Web 3. I won't do the Web 2 plus Web 3 equals Web 5 again, but I did. Someone laughed. Oh, thank you. Finally, it's taken 3 days to get someone to laugh at that joke. Safitri, has Web 3 come into your life yet?
Yes, but different from Willem, because Willem is from the brand, I'm from telco side, so it's our job to provide the experience and also provide the platform for brands like Willem or other brands in order to embrace in this new technology. But in terms of our for our cases, is more we use it for improving our customer experience to our customers. But also in the other area is we develop it in order to create better experience for brands and also for consumers to experience this new concept.
Fantastic. And Vanessa, finally.
So I've sitting through the sessions of this last few days, it's really exciting to hear what's happening in the developments, and picking up on one of Willem's comments around the community side of it. I think of it from a creator perspective. Obviously, our ecosystem is built on creators, and they're an incredibly important part of the TikTok ecosystem. And I think what Web3, it is early days. We're still exploring, we're still understanding what it's going to offer. But I think the potential for community connection for creators and what creators can do through Web3 is really exciting. So I look at that really closely to see what could the developments are there for the creators, because that's a really important part for us.
Fantastic. Well, final question to the three of you, and we'll start with you, Vanessa. All this conversation around partnerships and kind of Brave New World and what have you, but what's really exciting for you right now?
There's lots of things, but I think the one thing that I get really excited about is this region. I think APAC is a really exciting region to work in. I think you look at the diversity across the region, you know, what we would do in Indonesia compared to Korea, compared to Australia are just so different. So we have these really developed, you know, more kind of Western markets. We have huge growth in a country like Indonesia. The scale is phenomenal across Southeast Asia. I think it's a very entrepreneurial region. I think there's a lot of exciting things coming out of it. So I get most excited about what we could do in the APAC region in terms of growth and exploration.
Willem, what's exciting for you guys?
Yeah, I think for me it's about coming out of COVID and being able to really kind of drive the impact out of both virtual and physical. You know, like we've come in years whereby, you know, everything we've been doing is through these different virtual experiences, using a lot of AR, VR, you know, Web3, you know, and it's been hard through, you know, your kind of more mainstream partnerships whereby I think the live experience element has obviously been kind of massively missing, and now having the powerhouse being able to do both and blend both into your bigger plan in terms of driving massive consumer engagement and value and experiences, because I think everything that we do is about, you know, from a brand perspective around elevating these consumer experiences, both in a virtual and physical world. And to be able to do that without any limitations and restrictions that we've had over the last 2 years, for me is obviously like, now it's the holy grail, now we have to go after it. We've got the technology, we've got the immersive virtual, remit that we can really kind of, you know, start accelerating, but we can really sort of help drive that with all the physical participation and getting everyone together, I think for me is obviously super exciting.
Final words, Safitri.
So what's exciting? I mean, like, what next after pandemic? So Indonesia has been lucky to be appointed as G20, B20, and T20 this year, and everyone is talking about 2023 is about global recession. Well, actually, WHO already announced that COVID is ended. So I mean, like, what's exciting is that pandemic is ending. We have this event. Finally, we can meet online, offline. But then we are facing a threat of having a global crisis. So now, what's exciting is how can we partner and overcome this together faster? Thank you.
What a lovely way to end the session. So I've written a few notes, and this is some great insights coming out from three great people. Partnership is a marriage. We talked about the win-win, the communication, the transparency, the rapport. I'm going to phone my wife after this, by the way. We talked about it, being original, disrupting, creativity matters. Early days for Web3, but it's exciting for community and what have you, and how exciting Asia Pacific is. But I think that the core message is 1 + 1 equals way more than 2. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause, Safitri, Willem and Vanessa.